I bought a book several weeks ago that contains 3 of my favorite things: foraging, DIY, and art supplies. It's a forager's guide to natural ink making, and the book itself is a piece of art. I bought the book at the perfect time as pokeberries were just coming into season, and their particular ink is one of the most dramatic recipes that it contains. Pokeweed grows everywhere in the region I live in, and although their berries look delicious, they're considered toxic. I have a bunch of pokeweed growing on the hill behind my house, so I decided one morning to venture down there and collect some berries. The idea of starting my morning gathering berries sounded so lovely and a bit fairy tale-like, but the reality was a little intense. I started out picking them by hand, and I realized very quickly that that was going to be really messy and take me 100 years. So I decided to get my clippers out and start cutting them down by the cluster instead. I also just so happened to be swimming through a sea of poison ivy and blackberry vines while being eaten alive by 10,897 mosquitoes. So I didn't really want to take any longer than necessary with that task. By the way, I was whacked across the face by one of those thorny blackberry vines. I never expected I would need safety goggles while foraging. I did see a really cool praying mantis though, and that was fun. I started mashing up the first batch of berries in the kitchen, and I very quickly realized that that was a mistake, as the little toxic seeds started jumping all over the kitchen counter and the floor. I immediately stopped, cleaned and vacuumed everything, and then took the operation outside. Once outside, I handpicked all of the berries off of the clusters because there were a lot of rotten ones on there, and then I started mashing everything together with a potato masher. After everything was well mashed, I poured the mush through a fine mesh strainer, and then attempted to further strain it through a coffee filter. But as I wasn't getting much at all out of that, I decided to just give up and stick with the thicker ink. Once I had my ink all sorted out, I sat down and painted a very quick artistic representation of a pokeberry cluster. What a fun and satisfying activity that was. I am now obsessed with making natural inks. Speaking of painting, over the last several weeks I've been hand painting nature observation journals to sell online. The journals themselves are printed reproductions of my artwork, but I'm pretty impressed with the print quality. This is my proof from the printer, which is what that not for resale band is all about. They will not have that printed on there if you end up buying one. I'm selling them through Amazon KDP, but I have links to the collection on my website, which I'll post in the description down below. I'll be sharing more about my journey with nature observation journaling in my next video. I've been getting a lot of enjoyment out of it. Thanks for watching, and by the way, Little Maggie says hi.